Don't mind me, I'm just trying to get the thumbnail. Hey friends, welcome to Vinylize. I'm Jarrett New, and today we're going to talk about the top 1,000 reasons why Crosley Cruisers are the scum of the earth. No, I'm not going to do the whole video like that. I love parodies. It's what I like to do. Oh yeah, there's this stuff. Just to clarify something for you guys, this is not the how to be a record collector video. That video is here. You can click the annotation or whatever it is I'm doing. So this is an actually serious video for once about how to start record collecting, which I don't think a lot of you guys really care. So if you're not into this kind of stuff, just go ahead and click away from the video. But I just wanted to make this kind of video to show you guys how, I started collecting and how you guys can start collecting as well. But before I start, this video might also actually show how I might be the worst record collector in existence. So let's go ahead and get started on some tips. Now, you want to start record collecting, but why is that? Maybe your grandparents or your parents lent you some of their records and said, hey, this is the dying medium that we had back in the day, except records are actually blowing up now. And then of course you started yearning for the old days and you thought, well, I might as well start record collecting now. But the first thing you gotta keep in mind when record collecting or starting a record collection is the kind of equipment that you're going to get, because you can't really buy records and not play them. Now, if you're just starting a record collection, you're probably gonna instinctively go for the Crosley Cruiser. This is not actually my first record player. This was my second that I ever owned, and while I don't regret buying it one bit, I sure do wish that I had chosen something different. Here's my current record player, the Audio-Technica LP60. Now, around Christmas time, this could go for under $100, like 70 something dollars. But if you just want to get the standard model, it's around $100 or $99 if you're that specific. If you want to get the USB like I have, for some reason, it would cost $127 or $130 if you're me and like to round stuff up. The thing with this turntable though is it does not have internal speakers. Now, one problem with the Crosley Cruiser is its internal speakers are really bad. Now, the speakers that I have are edifiers. I don't remember the model. I might say on the remote, the RC108. Links for everything is going to be in the description, so don't worry if I don't remember the models. But these were about $150 that I got on Christmas along with this player. These are actually Bluetooth speakers, but you can get a pair of just as about the same model as these, but without the Bluetooth, and I think it's about $50 less, so it would only be $100. So this whole setup, if you wanted to, might actually only be $200. And there are a few YouTube channels that say that a good beginner's turntable is the LP120. That, however, is $300. So, which would you rather have, $300 or $100? Another perk to this specific turntable is it's fully automatic, so you don't have to lift the needle and worry about scratching your brand new records. And now that you've decided on a record player, let me talk about a few other things. If you have a Crosley Cruiser already, it's not the end of the world. There's just a few things that you gotta figure out. First of all, like I said before, the speakers on this are not very good. So if you want to listen to high quality 180 gram re-releases, then they're not gonna sound as good. They're gonna sound just about as good as listening to vintage records. And because there's no counterweight, a lot of people complain about its very high tracking force, or how hard the needle presses onto the vinyl record. And apparently a good tracking force is around 3.5 or lower, and these have been known to have a tracking force of 5. Now, I don't really worry about tracking force that much, because there is a video that I will link in the description below that talks about you can play a record like 40 times on like really heavy tracking forces, and all it will basically do is add more surface noise to it, and it won't actually destroy your records. and so I don't really worry about tracking force that much. So again, if you do own a Crosley Cruiser already, don't panic. Just get a new turntable whenever it's convenient to you, around Christmas, whenever they're on sale. But just if you're first getting started in records and wondering about what kind of turntable you want to get, I would recommend the LP60, because that's only like 50 bucks more than this, which I don't even remember how much this costs, like 50, 60 bucks or something. And LP60s are $100. You will have to get external speakers for it, but it'll make your experience a lot better than this, which leads me into what kind of records do you want to buy. Jeez, over 10 minutes already. I talk a lot, it's what I do. Now, when it comes to record collectors, I like to put them in two different categories, vintage and modern. Now, one of the big perks to buying modern records is they come on 180 gram vinyl. They're brand new, they sound great, especially when you're playing them on a really good turntable. My main problem that a lot of people feel about collecting brand new records is they are crazy expensive. The most expensive record I've ever bought was Exile on Main Street, which was like $38, $39 when I found it, but I only had to pay $31 because it was on sale, so that's pretty good. But yeah, if you're a modern collector, I'd really watch out for how much you're spending on your records. Another thing that you want to keep in mind when you're buying modern records is where you're going to buy them. Here where I live, record stores are not very common, but you know, there are some around the state that I live in. But whenever you're buying vintage records, the flea market is your record store. I've spent more time in flea markets searching through records than anywhere else I've ever been to. Every weekend I always go to a different flea market in my town, because my town has about 4 or 5 flea markets in it. And I just look around the record bins and I always find something that I'm interested in, whether it be Rolling Stones or even something like Herb Alpert at the Tijuana Brass. Of course, the bad thing about flea market records is they're not exactly well taken care of. They could have scratches in them, they could be warped, and you especially have to watch out for cheap records of famous albums. Speaking of which, here are my top 10 best record finds. I got a list right here of my top 10 greatest record finds, along with honorable mentions. Those will be right there. You can pause and read them if you want to, but let's go. September by Earth, Wind & Fire, $1. The Monkees' debut album, $3. Electric Ladyland, $5. Toto, $3. Bookends, $2. Joe Cocker, $2. Traveling Wilburys Volume 1, $5. Who's Next, $5. Get Back, $1. And Wings Over America, for free. So as you can imagine, you can find vintage records for really good prices, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily good copies. Another thing you gotta worry about with records is storage. Now, I actually have a lot of different methods of storage. Let me show you. There's always the classic bookshelf. You're gonna have the spine sticking out, and you can also make your own little tabs to keep them in alphabetical order or in any category that you wish. You can also have them in cardboard boxes. These are BCW record storage boxes that you can get on Amazon for around $12 each, which is stupid because you can just get a cardboard box and fit these things in, but these are specifically for stackable storage. They even have these little handles in them, and they do come with lids. So I think that's a pretty good deal right there. You can also do what I like to do and hang them up on the wall. Now, somebody did tell me that this does cause warping in the records, but I don't really see how that's possible. If you have a wall that's flat, like most walls, I don't really see how it can cause warping in records. Now, there are two different ways. There is a 3x3 design that was made by the YouTube channel Vinylize, which I will leave that video link in the description. Or you can try the ghetto design like I have. All you really need is a couple of push pins to put under the record and a good roll of packing tape to keep it against the wall. You're just going to put a piece of tape on top of the record here. One thing you gotta worry about here before you guys start taping your records to the walls is make sure you have good record sleeves, plastic sleeves to put the records in. Otherwise, whenever you take the record down from the wall and take the tape off of it, record is going to come with it. So just keep that in mind when you want to do something like this. Which that's a segue into my next thing, which probably might make me a horrible record collector for this: accessorizing. A lot of the times whenever you buy records at a flea market or even at a regular store, they don't come with record sleeves. So the ones I'm using now are polypropylene. They seem to be working just fine. They have a little snug fit in it for your much thinner one record records, and so you can either have that or you can have a thicker design used for double albums like I do have right there, and even gatefold albums. Now the inner sleeves. A lot of records that you buy at flea markets do not come with a record sleeve, so I use paper sleeves, and that's probably going to make me the worst record collector out there, besides the fact that I've been playing with the Crosley Cruiser for a year, even though I switched to a new turntable. Yes, whenever I buy records at flea markets, I always use these for the ones that don't have record sleeves in them. Now, when it comes to brand new records, they usually have much better sleeves already in them, so I just leave those in there. But some records don't come with sleeves, so I'm gonna have to use paper ones, which is supposedly really bad for the record. Also for singles, I like to use these smaller sleeves for them, and for storage, I use shoe boxes, which there's another vinylized video about that I will link in the description below. Alright, you bought your turntable, you bought your records, you've bought your storage, and you've bought your accessories. I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope this video has helped you in figuring out how you're going to start your record collection. More references, equipment that I use, and videos that I've looked at will be in the description below. Check those out if you need to, and keep spinning that vinyl or something. I'm always bad at outros.